Today's interview is with Jonah Scott, the English dub voice of Legoshi from Beastars, as well as Aiden from the upcoming video game Dying Light 2, among other roles. Jonah is a big fan of this anime himself, being very in touch with the fandom, doing prep for the role of Legoshi. He's even done a cover of the OP song.
I can't walk it on the wild side. I don't want to fall asleep throughout my life.
But just because this is one of his first leading anime roles, doesn't mean his talent came from nowhere. In our conversation, we go over the acting experience he put into practice when playing this character, as well as the general challenges that come with dubbing a show as unique as Beastars. I had to let him go for another stream near the end, but I hope you will enjoy. One of the interesting production things about Beastars that I think it was talked about a little is that it's one of the few anime that's done kind of in a prelay style in Japan, where the actors record first, and I think it was the actors record first, then someone else would do like facial capture, and then someone else would do like action choreography. So
right.
I don't think it was the same person doing all three, but
No.
in the live stream for the first couple of episodes, I think you and Griffin mentioned that you actually did some live acting to get into character for for the choking scene.
Mm-hmm. We knew what we were getting into when we started this, because we were freaking out when we got cast, and we were like messaging each other back, giving each other text messages, and like, this is so exciting, right? But we knew, since we knew what we were getting into, we also knew that we were going into this at a severe disadvantage, and me and Griffin were like, okay, well, we got to make this sound good with what we have, we can't. We're not going to be in a room together. We're not going to be on a stage getting mocapped together. It's not going to be like that. So we got to figure out how we're going to play off of each other when we're not even recording on the same day. So he came over to my place, and I have a big wall tapestry of map of Middle Earth in my room.
Yeah, Middle Earth. Yeah, that was it. Yeah,
and
that's what you got pinned up against.
Exactly. We did that scene, and we did another couple of scenes that have tense.
I'm just wondering, is there like a Jonah-shaped imprint in the map of Middle Earth now? Or?
No, it's since recovered. But
okay, good.
We were very. He's a good friend of mine, and I was like, yeah, bring it on, man. Like, you're not gonna hurt me. I know you're shorter than me. You're gonna hurt me.
Yeah.
I got you.
Thankfully, you didn't do like the Bill scene.
No, God, no.
That.
We didn't act that out. That would have been horrendous. That would have been a lot of cleanup. But yeah, we got that taken care of, and we were like, okay, we know how we're gonna sound together. We know what the choreography is for this, and we can act it out in the booth. That's another thing that you really want to do as a voice actor. That not a lot of people think is a lot of physicality kind of helps out. If you're yelling and you're standing still, it sounds a lot different than if you're yelling and moving and different things like that. But yeah, the physicality got a lot of realism to that scene. Granted, it was recorded days after we did it, but my memory is pretty good, so we were able to get a good scene.
Well, carnivores exposing their fangs to herbivores is forbidden.
I'm not just another herbivore! Don't hold back now. Large carnivores like you get on my nerves the most.
Speaking of doing stuff outside the booth, were you guys able to get the lines ahead of time?
Hell no.
I know most. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Hell no.
Because I know most dubs are cold reads, but did you guys just use the manga or?
Yeah, we went and we watched some clips that were on YouTube. Again, illegal up there, but they were on YouTube for the public to see. So we watched some dub clips or some sub clips. And we kind of we adapted. We've both been doing anime for so long that we kind of have a bunch of hats that we wear. Especially in the booth, like at least not like 20% of our capacity as an actor in the booth is to actually help write to some extent. And some directors are more open to that than others. But we adapted some stuff to practice with, some lines, and we adapted the flaps. We adapted some stuff in the booth, even on the fly. But we didn't get the line. We didn't get the lines in advance. No, It's unfortunate. It'll be very difficult because I know I used to live with an ADR writer. He lives above me now, in the same apartment complex, Jalen Cassell.
Oh yeah.
Really good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And he was a script adapter. He's written JoJo's and Berserk and a bunch of other stuff. He's really good at it. So I lived with him for a while, and I kind of picked up a lot of stuff by osmosis to make to make my life a little bit easier and to learn a lot of lingo and a lot of mechanical things that I can do as a performer to make things work. And I learned a lot from him just by living with him in the same house.
Nice. So a tip to aspiring voice actors: just live with writers.
Yeah, live with an ADR writer, and then you'll
break
be good
into
at
that. No, don't break into that house. No, don't do that. But actually, speaking of the flaps, Beastars again, like we talked about, it has the facial capture aspect. So usually anime flaps just go open, close, open, close. There's like a fully open, half open, fully closed pattern to it.
Yeah.
But Beastars is different again in that regard, because some of the animals, it's kind of weird because they sometimes form like unique syllable shapes with their mouths, but the frame rate, it kind of fluctuates, so it's not always as detailed as something like Pixar, or like there was like a fully CG Dragon Quest movie that the mouth movements were like very, very smooth, very, very distinct. With Beastars, it was a bit of a middle ground between what I usually see in anime and 3D stuff. So was a lot of the rewriting based around matching the uniquely shaped flaps, or was it just like as per usual?
Yeah, very astute. When an ADR writer is doing their job very well, they will sit down and spend the time to try and figure out what words would sound the best with the combination of flaps and the pauses. Because in Japanese, obviously, they break up sentences differently than we do. They have, 2 syllables, pause, 2 syllables, pause, 3 syllables, and that's kind of weird. We don't really speak in 2-syllable chunks in English. So you have to figure out how to make that sound natural and real. So with the direct translation, if you were to just put the direct translation into the show, it would sound stilted, and it would sound, for lack of a better term, dubby. Now, since me, Griffin, a bunch of other people that are in the show grew up watching dubbed anime, we've been doing this. We were very lucky, and we're probably one of the first generations to get into the booth and know what the final product is probably going to look like, and know how to manipulate the final product in order to make it look like how we would enjoy it, because we are consumers of our own media. I watch dubbed anime a lot. I'm like halfway through Naruto Shippuden. That's how I learned a lot of the strategies and stuff to writing and performing, is watching dubbed anime. But it's marrying that with like my performance background. But as for the flaps, yeah, a lot of it is trying to, okay, so his mouth is forming an ooh sound. We want it with like an O. And it doesn't have to be an O. It doesn't have to be ooh, but it can be like good or something, because that's the word good is your mouth kind of forms that tunnel, that O sound, or like up, or something like that, to make it a little bit easier to adapt, as well as to make it look good. There's a couple of scenes in Beastars that I'm actually particularly proud of. Ben Diskin has been doing this for like 20 years. Yeah. He's fucking amazing, and he's been doing this for 20 years, so his sync is flawless. He knows what he's doing. I mean, he gets in the booth and makes it look damn good. Whether or not your readers or listeners know this, this is my first major anime role. It's the first like principal character, or the first lead character I've ever voiced in an anime.
Yeah, we've done like Formaggio and Phoenix Man.
Right. I've been in, this was all in the last year. I've only really started booking anime and video game roles in the last year. So this is literally the inception of my career. So I was very scared of getting this wrong.
Legoshi is at the start. Wow.
Exactly. But there are a few scenes where I am at Ben's level, I would say. Not an experience, obviously, at all, but I'm keeping up with him. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. There's a scene when they're in a hollowed-out pool that I think my sync is pretty darn good. There's a lot of 1, 2-word, 3-word exchanges between him and Jack, and I think I did a pretty good job there. There's several other ones where I'm like, okay, I matched flaps really well there. There are also several ones where I'm like, that is horrendous. Why did I not catch that? A couple of scenes where I'm just like, yeah, this is... A big one is, in Japanese, they say Yamado, which is like stop or cut it out or something like that, right?
Yamado is the one in episode 2, I think.
three flaps, right? But we were going so fast at a point, and it's a quick cut. So I wasn't able to pick it up, and the director wasn't able to pick it up, and we had other episodes we had to get to. Again, we didn't even have a $100,000 budget, I would imagine, to do this. So things have to happen quickly. And Yamato's three flaps, I used two flaps, doesn't work. I was told to do that by the director, and you know what? Nobody told me otherwise. Doesn't work. Does not work at all.
Oh, okay.
Yamato usually cut it out, knock it off, but it looks terrible. So, in my opinion, I think I did a poor job of catching that, and I wish I would have gone back and been able to fix it, but you can't do that.
When it comes to directors, it's Bob and is it Megan or
Megan?
Megan, not Megan. Okay. So were both of them directing you at different times, or was it?
Yes, they are both absolutely fantastic at what they do. They know exactly what they're doing. Bob has been doing this since before I was born.
And like he was,
Yeah, he's directed Kingdom Hearts. He's directed like Final Fantasy stuff. He's directed
Ben on Kingdom Hearts before this.
All manner of video games and anime. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he is phenomenal. Him and Megan are both really good, and they're very open to being a creative sounding board for you. And when you go into a booth, sometimes the director's like, no, my way or the highway. We're going to do this and we're going to get it done because I'm getting paid and this is my job, right? But you can tell that Bob, while he does, like, it's his job, yeah, but he lets you have a lot of creative freedom. I was able to suggest things. I was able to say, what about this? What about that? Does this work? Because we would spend on the more intimate scenes where things actually matter, what you're saying. Yamato doesn't really matter, honestly. But if there's a long diatribe or a long monologue voiceover or something like that, you really want to make sure that lands. And
Legoshi
he gave us a lot of
too. So.
Right. He gave me a lot of freedom to do what I do best. That's like a cinematic, intimate, off-the-cuff performances. Very, very real and down to earth. Not like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure or like Naruto, where everything is yelled. Everything is shouted, like, oh my god, there's none of that shit, right? It's just like, it's just a bunch of talking, and it's like very quiet and very near to the mic, and every sound you make is heard. So you have to make sure that it sounds right. And Bob and Megan really gave you a lot of freedom. They usually they sat back and said, do what you do. Listen for the beeps. If we don't fit, we'll fix stuff around, but just act. And that is some of the best directing I think I've ever received.
Yeah, I think, the Legoshi performance, I guess this kind of goes for both languages, but it's kind of unique as far as, anime goes. Well, maybe, I guess, unique as far as, like, the super popular anime that comes over to the West goes. Because, for English dubs, you sometimes get, like, a bit of vocal fry from the characters, but, like, Legoshi, I think, is probably the most vocal fry I've ever heard from an English dub role.
Yeah, and that's saying something.
Yeah, it
because
comes across really immaculately sometimes in dubs, but, like, not this time.
No, you gotta, and it's not just about the vocal fry. There is, to make that read, there's a lot of performance stuff you have to do. You're taught when you're dubbing, like from day one, project. We're gonna need a little bit more projecting. Act like you're on stage, project. But since this is a dub of if you listen to the Japanese, they're almost whispering at some points, and they're almost talking to somebody who is less than a foot away from them. And even in your head, that's even closer. That's inside of you. So yeah, it's just. It takes a lot to make that work, and if you get the right actors, again, I wanna emphasize the fact that this is a union dub, right? Again, this is my first anime lead. Nobody has any idea who I am. Nobody had any idea who I was until I did this Wolf Boy. It's about getting the right people for the right job. Ben, fantastic casting choice. Laura, fucking inspired casting choice. Like coming from Kari Digimon, right? All the way to here.
Yeah. Oh god. My partner Eric is a big Digimon fan, and like to hear the voice of Kari playing a promiscuous rabbit was a bit much for him.
Saying, you can be rough with me, I can handle it. Excuse me? Leomon?
Don't worry, it's fine. You can be rough, I can handle it. I think it'll be fun.
Oh god, that whole scene was great. Yeah, but yeah, when it comes to like just letting you, I guess for lack of a better word, cut loose and do what you do best. Yeah, that's kind of a really admirable quality of directors to know what they have at their disposal.
Especially in a dub, because there's a lot of when you talk to a dub actor, a lot of what they'll say is dubbing is acting in a box, because you're given this. One, you're given a head start by the Japanese voice actor. Two, you're given the timing. You get like 3 seconds to say this word with 2.5 second breaks in between. Or say this phrase with 2.5 seconds in between. And it's not as hard as a lot of people think it is. It's very mechanical. Once you get used to it, it's a lot easier because you hear the beeps in your sleep and you're just like, okay, well, I got this, and then this I got to say. And then the guide, the preview helps a lot. But freaking amazing. The work that everybody managed to do and what we managed to pull off with what we had, I think we did the best that we could. Granted, there are a few things that we could have changed and made a little bit better, but if it was perfect, I never would have left the booth.
Okay. We know that season 2 is going to come. We're not sure when it's going to come to Netflix, but
right.
Do you know what kind of things you would do differently for Legoshi? Now that you mentioned that there are some things that you would have done differently. Well, in season 2.
Yeah, there's in the last 3 or 4 episodes of the show, I settle in. I figure it out. I know exactly what I'm doing. I know what the character is. I know his arc. You can tell that he's a little bit more confident. And as a character and as an actor, we're both progressing, and it sounds great. In the last 4 episodes, that's probably what you're going to see of Legoshi in season 2.
Oh, okay. Were the episodes recorded in like chronological or?
Yes. For this one, they were recorded in chronological order. Sometimes they're not. Most of the time they are because of just the way things work. If you're playing a side character or principal character, sometimes you don't know what's going on because you go in and you're like, okay, well, I'm not the lead, so I'm not following everything the show is doing. I'm going in and I'm like, okay, so you're the best friend and you have to talk to this guy about this thing. So there's a lot of work that the director has to do to bring those guys up to speed. But playing a lead or playing a principal character that's in a little bit more of the show is a lot easier because you're able to follow things as you go in the session, and as you go session by session, you're like, okay, so we're here. But I watched the show beforehand, so I knew when they showed like the still on the monitor in the booth, I'm like, oh, we're doing this scene today. We're doing this episode today. Okay, cool. I get that. I know exactly what I'm doing.
Oh yeah, actually, another role for a CGI anime that you've worked on with Bob, I think, was Kengan Ashura.
Yeah, Kengan Ashura.
Yeah.
I played Lihito, another very screamy son of a bitch in Kengan Ashura.
Was that kind of Beastars and Kengan Ashura, very different shows, but how did was the actual process that different to Beastars, or was it closer
the
to
process,
stuff like
the fundamental mechanical process is no different. You go in, you get you get a preview, you get 3 beeps, and then you go back and do it in English. That's generally how the dub process works. It's fairly straightforward. But the reason that Kengan Ashura was different than Beastars is the way that the CG was animated in Kengan. The fights were amazing. The fights were animated flawlessly. Everything in the fighting in Kengan Ashura looks butter smooth. Looks great, feels great, sounds great. It's perfect. But everything in between that is a little choppy, and it's hard. And this through no fault of the animators, just the medium that they're working with. The lip flaps are all over the place. They're huge. They're wide. They're hard to sync. And you had to hold out certain words that you didn't want to hold out. You had to make even spending 5-10 minutes on a line. Like, how do I make this work? How do we make this work, guys? Like, director, engineer, how do we put this together and make this look fine? Because we all know that, like, we've seen Berserk 2016. We know that it's difficult sometimes. Like, Beastars does have some issues, right? I mean, if CG is not without its issues. I mean, any 2D anime even you can nitpick it to hell and back, right? Oh, the character 500 feet away has lip flaps the size of a pixel, and I can't see that's you can't make that. You can make anything sound bad, but that's the main difference is with Beastars, there's more personality and expression to the characters. There's more, because you need that in a show like Beastars. With Kengan Ashura, it's a bunch of meaty dudes slapping each other in the chest. You don't need a whole lot of expression for that. You need a lot of yelling. It's vocally demanding, from Japanese as well as the English, but they're different shows. Fundamentally, they're different shows. Kengan Ashura is about the fighting, which they do amazingly well. Beastars is about those intimate moments. It's about those smaller expressions, those small micro expressions that the characters even do sometimes that are like, okay, that's what we're about. So I guess those are, in my opinion, the two main differences between Kengan and Beastars.
I guess this is just a different kind of show genre, and I guess Beastars was a bit more ambitious with how they did the CG, because it's like
that, and it's Studio Orange that has a reputation to uphold, because they've been knocking out of the park with pretty much everything so far. So it's like Trigger. You know what you're gonna get into when you watch a Trigger anime, right?
When it came to the stuff in the booth, because again, Beastars is different from a lot of the 2D anime that you've done, like JoJo's, where characters just kind of pose dramatically, and their bodies don't move as much. But in Beastars, everything's like very, very spontaneous. Characters like turning their heads in curiosity, and like their posture and all that stuff. So when it came to doing that in the booth, like you mentioned, there is some physical action that goes on, but is it difficult to really get into it without going off mic?
Yeah, actually, if you're trained, if you know what you're doing, and if you've been doing this a lot, again, I cannot stress how much mechanics matter in this. You know, how much just knowing the fundamentals of dubbing matters in this, and even recording on a mic. Period. I mean, I've been doing voiceover for about 6 years. Been doing it professionally for like 2. So I know my positioning, I know where I'm supposed to stand, I know how close I'm supposed to get, I know what my P's are going to sound like, I know where to put my lips if I'm doing a hard P or a hard B or something like that. But screaming is fun in professional settings, because, and physicality is fun in professional settings because you're in a neutral white room, like dead zone. You have an engineer who is going to be writing everything to make sure that you don't peak, which is something that you normally do at home yourself. So you have an engineer to make sure that everything sounds good, and you can just go buck wild. You can do whatever you want and be as loud and as crazy as you want. It's really cathartic, and it will sound, it's going to sound on the other side, it's going to sound good because you're giving it your all, and the engineer is making sure it sounds good. I cannot stress how much the holy trinity, actor, engineer, and director, really matter in dubs. In prelay, it's a lot of actors working off of each other and the director kind of giving suggestions. But in dubbing and in ADR period, it's a lot of you, engineer, and actor working as a hive mind together. It should be, at least. In some places it's not, but it should be.
Actually, speaking of like going buck wild and just not holding back, was there much ad-libbing? Because I noticed a couple of times that Ben would add little ad-libs, like I think there's a scene where he tosses where Jack tosses Legoshi a sandwich, and he goes woof.
I'm back. Think fast.
And I don't think he did that in the Japanese, but
no.
I guess that was easier because that shot his mouth wasn't in the frame, so we could just add that freely. But
exactly.
When it came to Legoshi, was there much? Because I know Legoshi's a bit more of a serious character, so maybe they didn't want as much ad-libbed.
Well, you hit the nail on the head there. You said that because they weren't visible, the lips weren't visible, the flaps weren't visible, he just kind of did whatever he wanted. Yeah, I did. There are dozens, if not scores of times where I added little what we in voiceover and probably in acting period, I don't know, I haven't done a whole lot of screen acting lately, but we in acting called pre-life and post-life to the lines.
Okay.
Now, pre-life is, especially in this intimate stuff, I didn't do a whole lot of like yelling ad-lib, but in this very intimate, closed, one-on-one conversation stuff, pre-life is what your character is thinking, what your character is doing what your character is contemplating before the line. And post-life is how you push that all the way through to the end of the line and resolve it. I do not at all mean to sound pretentious. This is all exactly what you think it is. It is. I'm laying it out. This isn't like smoke and mirrors bullshit. I'm just trying to give you what I've learned and what I've been taught. There's a scene, 2 scenes. I'll give examples. One comedic and one a little bit more serious. The comedic scene is when Legoshi walks in and Jack has found his rabbit porn. And Legoshi walks in and starts talking about how he bumped into a porcupine on the way up here, or he bumped into a hedgehog or something on the way up here.
Yeah, I bumped into a hedgehog just now, and his spine stabbed my shin.
I thought he grew up to be a fine, upstanding
Boy,
citizen,
it hurt.
but he's clearly headed down a dark path.
I'm gonna say 3/4 of that line, I improvised. I'm just like, oh man, this thing really hurts. You want to see that? It looks gross. You want to see it? It's man, I gotta pull this out. Like, there's a solid 30 seconds when Jack is thinking in his head that and Legoshi's in the background, that I just had to improvise whatever, and just make stuff up. And it sounds hilarious. It's fucking great. It's Legoshi talking about how he has to pull the spine out of his leg and it hurts, and he's like, ew, gross, dude, you want to see it? It's hilarious. That's the comedic example, but there are some serious examples as well. A lot of the narration in his head is, I wouldn't say ad-libbed, but I definitely didn't dub it, if that makes sense. I didn't want it to sound very dubby. So, when you're thinking in your head, you got pauses, and you gotta think about what you're saying a lot and take your time.
Yeah, like that, yeah.
And exactly like that. And there's another scene where I think it's Legoshi and Haru in the subway. And he's sitting down and telling Haru, he's trying to tell Haru that you don't have to be a slut, I love you. That's what he's telling you. You don't have to be with so many men, I want you to be with me. He's simping hard, And there was a line where it's like, you don't have to give yourself away. That's what he says. That's what it says in the translation. You don't have to give yourself away. It's almost directly translated, but it didn't fit the flaps too much. There was not enough syllables. We were sitting there for 30 seconds, and Megan was like, "Oh man, how do we make this work?" And I'm just like, "Hold on, let me try something." So I heard the beeps, and it's like, I gave it pre-life and post-life. I'm like,
You don't have to give yourself away like that.
That's the line, right?
Yeah,
I breathed through to the end. There's things that you think at the beginning of sentences that aren't normally said out loud, that if you kind of segue into the line with those things, it sounds so much more grounded, so much more natural, and so much more cinematic. And there's another when the blackout happened, there's a blackout in one of the episodes where the power goes down.
Yep.
And Legoshi's kind of upset. And he runs up to his group of friends, and it says, the line was, "Get behind me," right? And you can't see his mouth, and it's a little dark, so I'm just like,
yes.
Guys, come on, okay, everybody get behind me. All right, you good, okay? It's just kind of made up stuff that isn't there in the translation, but you put it there to make it sound more real, and raise the stakes a little bit and make it feel like, oh my god, okay, we might die, but it's okay. Legoshi's got things under control, that kind of thing. I'm gonna try my best. So there's a lot of ad-lib, and if you listen to it and watch the subtitles and listen to what the dub says instead of what the subtitles are saying, you can tell there's a lot more realism to it, and I know all the other actors tried to put that stuff in too once they figured out the show was very intimate and close.
Yeah, actually, one thing I really wanted to ask, one question I wanted to ask was, how was the dark Legoshi in episode 2 handled? Because there's a sequence where Legoshi he has a vision of a dark version of himself, talking about the confrontation with Haru where he almost eats her.
Right.
How was that directed? Because that was kind of you playing off yourself.
Yeah.
In that scene.
I like to call him Negoshi because he's the negative Legoshi. But I was heavily inspired. I was, like I said, watching Naruto Shippuden at the time. Heavily inspired by a lot of Liam O'Brien's performances as Gaara.
Liam O'Brien.
Lots of Troy Baker's performance as Pain is pretty memorable as well. And that was what I probably went home that night and watched Naruto. Just because it was something I was doing at the time. Very inspired. And I didn't want to do I knew the easiest immediate choice would have been like, yes, eat her. You know, that kind of like gross, down to earth stuff.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's something really like really guttural and like I'm dark. You know, fear me. That's not what Legoshi's afraid of. He's a big guy. He's not afraid of that crap. You know what he is afraid of? People like Louis and himself. Right? I tried to make it so that the shadow, again, I'm not trying to sound pretentious, I'm just trying to do the work. The shadow, Legoshi, is the antithesis of what Legoshi is. Legoshi is depressed and sad, conserved, introverted.
Right. Actually, now that I think about it, when I first saw that scene, it's like, wait, is that Legoshi or is that Louis? Or is like, I couldn't quite tell. It was like eventually, It
became a confident, a swaggerous, and over-the-top, an intimidating version of himself. What he would be if he was Louis. What he would be if he had the personality of someone like Louis or Bill or someone that he doesn't get along with very well. Because kind of in reality,
scary how he's scared of what he could be.
He doesn't get along with himself, right? So that's what I tried to put in. There was no discussion. There was no like, okay, what is he gonna sound like? There wasn't. They just went beep, 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 go. And I did it. And they're like, that sounds fucking amazing. All right, that's great. We'll keep it like that. That's fantastic. And in the Japanese, it's kind of like that. It is very calm and concerted, but I did it a little bit more over the top. I did, for lack of a better term, I made it a little bit more anime.
It's a pretty anime scene, talking with the dark version of yourself. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
So hopefully people got that. If not, regardless, I think it was a pretty cool voice that I got to try out. I really
thought it was cool.
I really like playing villains. Hence Formaggio and Lihito and a bunch of other Phoenix Man. Even they're all villains.
I was actually going to ask later,
I love playing villains.
What kind of characters, now that you've had a taste of Beastars and JoJo's and Kengan Ashura, which are all like pretty different from one another, what kind of roles are you looking to do more of? And because you've played villains, you've played kind of nervous characters like Legoshi. What are you looking forward to when it comes to anime dubbing?
I have been told for the past 6 years that I have. Now this isn't me again. This is me being pretentious and saying that I'm good. I'm really good. I deserve to play these roles. No, I've just been told a lot that I have a very heroic voice, and I have a very a voice that suits reluctant heroes. Heroes in their mid-20s, the late 20s, people who don't really want to do what they're set out to do, people who are inspired. And I'm looking forward to playing a lot more heroes. I have a couple of shows that I'm in that I can't really talk about yet that I play the hero in. 3 or 4 that are coming out this year. Hopefully. Hopefully.
Hopefully. Yeah, oh god.
That I play the hero in. And it is a stereotypical hero. Sometimes I have been lately I have been playing a lot of what I like to call Nightwing characters that are edgy and they are controversial, but at the same time they are, without a doubt, the hero. They're a dark hero, like Legoshi, to some point. He becomes this darker...
flawed heroes, yeah.
Yeah, this flawed hero, this dark hero, this Byronic hero almost. But that's what I'm really looking forward to. I love villains. I do. I'll play a villain every day for the rest of my life if I can. They're so much fun. So much fun. I love laughing and shit like that. But the heroes are where I personally have a lot of fun. I can get in there and have a lot of almost like being in a circus fun with a villain where it's over the top and stuff. But the real work and the real acting fun is for me in the hero, because they're incredibly complex. And a lot of villains are, yes, complex, but they still serve the same role. They still have the same, I know a lot of actors are going to kill me for using this word, but archetype. They still have the same archetype.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But I want to be a hero, and not just because I want the fame and the glory, but because it's just so damn fun.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. That makes sense. In talking to you today and also doing research for this interview, I get the impression that you're quite a big fan of anime, of video games, of all this stuff.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yes. I grew up with this stuff, man. I didn't realize that I could do this for a living until my junior year in college. And I was studying stage acting and film acting and broadcast, journalism and stuff. And my girlfriend at the time was like, hey, I was playing Titanfall. Obviously, Matt Mercer is a huge inspiration to me.
Yeah, that's right. And she said you sounded a lot like Matt Mercer.
Yeah, she's like, you sound like Matt Mercer. And I'm like, who the fuck is Matt Mercer?
Oh, man.
And I took a bit to like look up.
Now. Yeah.
Exactly, right? I took a bit to look up who he was, and I listened to his demo reel, and I'm like, oh, shit, yeah, I do. A little bit. I am my own person. I am not Matt. I don't sound exactly like Matt. I can voice match him if it comes down to it, but I'd rather not. But
hopefully no one will get too sick with everything going on, so you won't have to. Yeah.
Exactly. And it was at that point I was just like, yeah, this is a thing you can do for a living, have fun doing it, and not feel like you're working unless like you have to write out an invoice or something, do paperwork or do your taxes. That's the only time during the year where I actually feel like I'm working. There's a big thing called, especially in people my age, I know a bunch of my friends have it, who are like, we're breaking into the industry. We're starting to slowly get cast in more roles. We're starting to slowly get better at what we're doing, and we all have a lot of imposter syndrome, where it's like,
much like Legoshi, yeah.
Exactly. I got cast as Legoshi, and I spent like 20 minutes like in tears outside of Univision HQ because like, this is it, dude. You're doing it. You're the lead in a Netflix anime. You were doing the damn thing. And it's happening .gif, it's there was no word to describe how the joy I felt and being able to do that. But then after it came out, you're just like, oh my god, am I really like doing this? Is this really something I can do for the rest of my life? I don't know if I should be here. I was at the first convention that I went to was 2 years ago. I had booked nothing. I had done nothing at the time, and I sat there in between Jeremy Lee, and I think it was Jeremy Lee and Brittany Lauda, and flanking me on either side, and I had done nothing at the point. Brittany Lauda's a good friend of mine. I don't know Jeremy Lee too well, but there were lines out the door for both of them, and I was there in the middle, scrolling Reddit on my laptop, just like, all right, well, somebody's gonna figure out who I am, I guess. I had done like microtransactions for a bunch of video games, like skins and stuff. Okay. And but that was when the imposter syndrome kicked in hard, and I'm just like, oh shit, am I really cut out for this? But it took about a year for the ball to get moving, and I think I am. I think I might be.
I guess it's a little unfortunate that that you won't be able to go to a con for a while because of all this stuff.
Yeah. But hey, look,
man.
I got plenty loaded, ready to go in the barrel. I got a lot of conversations going, and when the doors open up for conventions, I will be there.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's streaming in the meantime, so.
Yeah, hell yeah, that's so much fun.
I guess we're coming up on an hour, so I gotta let you go soon. So I wanted to talk about your other acting experience because you are a big fan of anime and video games, and that's really good because you understand what people are looking for in these things. You understand the pitfalls and like kind of what people are like cautious of when it comes to the adaptation, to the acting, to all that stuff. Yeah. But I've heard like some people who are more on the acting side talk about this kind of it's kind of like an insulating effect that anime acting can have on itself. And I was wondering, because I think you've also mentioned this in the previous interviews you've done, like it's important to know the fundamentals of acting to study Stanislavski and all that stuff. And I was wondering, do you have any like personal guidance when it comes to balancing the passion for anime and video games and the culture surrounding it, and balancing that with the passion for the craft of acting itself, like from stage to prelay to anime dubbing? Yeah.
Couple words of advice, I guess. I'm new to this. I've been doing this for 2 years. I am doing it. I'm doing it every day. I voice act for something new every day. I do a commercial or, a little indie game or something like that I auditioned for 2 years ago or whatever whatever project decided to come to the fore. But again, I am new to this, so take my advice with a grain of salt. Go ask a bunch of other actors. But in my experience, and I share the same experience with a bunch of other dub actors from Funimation and LA and Vancouver and New York City. Stage will give you the fundamentals that you need to act in any medium. You will learn how to be an actor on stage. That transitions to everything. It transitions to film, it transitions to voice acting, it transitions to, mascot costume work, it transitions to doing shows at Disney or whatever you decide to do with your life. And it gives you an incredible foundation. Now, to balance between doing stage work and playing video games and stuff, that's I'm assuming the people listening to this are under the age of 30.
Yeah.
And if you want to be a voice actor, you should probably go to college for acting. If your parents tell you that it's a money sink or whatever, just try your best. And if your passion is there, it will show. Go to school for acting, and then again, school is school, and you still have free time. After that, go and do some. If you want to, do a fan dub, do a private fan dub. Don't post it online. That's illegal. Do private fan dubs, audition for stuff online. There's thousands of projects globally every day that get pushed through Casting Call Club, and I don't know if VAA is still a thing. I think it's down and defunct, but there's a bunch of websites and stuff that you can go to practice your craft. You're going to need to invest a little bit of money in a decent microphone and a decent preamp and a bunch of stuff to make it work, but it's worth it if you want to do this for a living. And doing stage and musicals, singing is huge. Dancing is big. You'd be surprised at how many people get out of breath doing fight scenes and yelling and screaming. I have asthma.
Oh.
Right? So screaming in the booth for 5-10 minutes,
yeah.
I need to use my inhaler because I have exercise-induced asthma, and my diaphragm is a muscle, and if I use that too much, even laughing too much, I need to use my inhaler. You have to learn these things, and the way I was able to learn that is doing musicals and dancing, and it's after every number I had to go off stage, use my inhaler, and I could go back out. It's what you do. So yeah, that's my advice. Do stage, please. Trot the boards a bit. Do Shakespeare. Do whatever you can to get in front of people. One, to get your nerves out of the way, because that's a big complaint I hear from a lot of people. It's I'm very nervous to do this. I wasn't. But that's because that's not because I wasn't ever nervous. It's not because I have steel nerves. Going out on stage for the first time, I was almost unable to do it. I played Greylag the Goose in a production of Honk, which is the most musical thing on the planet. Now, I've done it hundreds of times since then. So going into a booth is no biggie. Recording at home is no biggie. Going on stage nowadays, going in front of people in a panel, I just grab a microphone, go down to them at face level. I don't like going on the podium or anything like that. That's put me on a pedestal. It's stupid. Put me in front of you guys so I can talk to you. So yeah, going in front of people is no big deal. Just do stage, get used to it, and you'll come out on top. I guarantee it. Just keep doing what you do, keep doing what you love, and you'll find something. You'll find something.
Thank you. It's very fitting because of what the show is about. I guess Legoshi doesn't do as much of the diegetic acting as that, but still, yeah. Okay, how much longer have we got?
I could probably do one more question.
Okay, cool. I guess. Okay, I got two mainish topics left.
Okay.
One of them was more of a technical thing of asking how Spliced Bread has been different from the studio. Spliced Bread has been different from working at other dub studios like Bang Zoom. I know they use a lot of similar actors for dubs. I think they just migrated the cast of Seven Deadly Sins from Bang Zoom to Spliced Bread. But are there any differences in how they operate?
Yeah, there are several. Spliced Bread is a company that works out of a different studio. Spliced Bread, I think, is owned by Bob. He is the proprietor and, the main dude. He works out of SDI Media, which has their own studio in and around Santa Monica.
And they have branches around the world, I think.
Yeah, they have plenty. They have a branch in every country at least, or in every major country, and they pretty much the same mechanical stuff. Again, people have been doing this for almost nigh on 30 years, and that process really hasn't changed. It's the same as going to another studio. I mean, Margarita Mix, Dubbing Brothers, Cup of Tea, NYAV Post, North Hollywood Sound. They're all studios that have casting departments. So Bang Zoom doesn't just do anime. Bang Zoom dubs
they do
a lot of other things. They do movies, they do prelay, they do cartoons, they do games, they do all kinds. They did the original League of Legends stuff. They did all kinds of stuff. And Spliced Bread mostly does adaptations at SDI. In my experience, again, I've been doing this for 2 years. Bob put his trust in me to be a lead character, so I'm still, forming a working relationship with everyone there. But yeah, they mostly do that. The main difference I've found is that Spliced Bread and SDI are very, maybe controversial, but very, very relaxed, very laid back. It's not a very pressured environment. You seem they're friendly. They have they have conversations with you. You learn to, like, Megan's great. Megan's a friend of mine. Like, she's fantastic. Bob's great. Bob's a friend of mine. We have 5-10 minute conversations afterwards. They know what they're doing, and God, they let you do what you're best at. Why you're here. They let you do why you're here. At Bang Zoom, they have a revolving door of directors that depends on the project. JoJo's is directed by Tony Oliver. He is a legendary director. He is amazing at what he does. He has pulled performances out of me that I never thought I was able to do. But I got back in the booth and he's like, "Yeah, you nailed it." And I'm like, "You nailed it, dude. You nailed it out of me." But it also the revolving door of directors includes like Jalen Cassell and I think Chris Kaysen goes in there sometimes, and it's just a bunch of different hodgepodge of people that are recommended and are given interviews or trial runs in certain shows for writing and directing, and it's a big community out here, and everybody knows everybody at every studio for the most part. There's going to be interns that you meet when you go in and sign in and stuff like that, but the major players everybody knows, and we all interact and we all go out to eat sometimes. Not now, but we all go out to eat and we hang out. And like I moved in with Jalen Cassell and slept on his floor for a year before I started doing anything. Like I lived with the guy. Like I lived with voice actors. We did the whole when I was doing amateur voice acting. We had this small little pipe dream where it's like a bunch of us would get together and have a house in LA, and we would all do voice acting for the rest of our lives. And that kind of came to fruition, except we're all living in LA separately together.
With
separately,
with like actual studios doing it. Yeah.
Right. But with it's again. I want to stress that we're all friends. Everybody knows everybody. We all hang out at, Simply Coffee and, drink espresso and talk about work. It is a very Burbank thing, and if you go to Simply Coffee, you're probably going to run into a voice actor.
Okay. So, I guess no one's going to go there right now, but yeah.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. Oh, man, we're really going to date this interview.
Maybe.
If someone, wants to learn about Beastars in, a couple of years, God knows how long this thing's going to go on for. Okay, cool. Thank you very much for joining me today, Jonah.
Of course, dude. If you guys ever want to come by my Twitch channel, I am going to have, as we go on through the coming months, I'm going to have several other voice actors come in. We're talking about getting Ray Chase in. My buddy, we're going to talk about getting Jalen in. We might get a couple of other bigger guys in. And, some of my friends, Alan Lee, Xanthi Nguyen, maybe Xander, but Ed Bosco possibly. But, yeah, come by, twitch.tv/Jonah Scott. I stream video games, VR chat, Apex Legends, Overwatch, Doom, all the new stuff that's coming out, Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, yeah, that's...
which I'm in, by the way.
Yeah,
I'm in Final Fantasy VII.
I saw that massive list of extra actors, okay,
I know, right? I literally, the meme I made
yeah.
was the Smash Everyone is Here meme for Final Fantasy VII. I'm just like, everyone is here, holy crap.
Yeah, it's so weird because, actors from the old version are now part of the additional voices.
Exactly.
It's like Crispin Freeman? Wait, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Take over the shine, take over the shooting star. All I was talking about was music, and that's called jazz.
It was such a pleasure having a chat with Jonah. Make sure to follow him on Twitter and Twitch via the links in the description. In the meantime, be sure to check out our full video on the English dub of Beastars, which should have been uploaded a few hours around the time this video went live, fingers crossed. As you can tell, I'm still replaying Final Fantasy VII, so I'll get back to that. But before I do, a huge thanks to Reagan Senpai, Ahoba, Spartacus, Marissa Lenti, Seth Phillips, JR Pictures, Unknown Secret 1000, and all our other patrons for generously supporting us. This has been the Cartoon Cipher, and until next time.